Good morning, everybody. My name is Mithru. I'm from India. I'm joined today by my co-founders, Ondina from Romania, Joachim from Denmark, and Roy from Israel. And as Satish said, we're all graduate students at NYU's Interactive Telecommunications program, also known as the Center for the Recently Possible. Today, we're presenting to you what we're building, Mix, a storyboarding tool for virtual reality. Now, before Mix and before NYU, I was a creative technologist in the advertising industry. I worked in a small team, and we worked on projects from around the world that ranged from building interactive music videos to making mobile phone apps. And in particular, when it came to designing for virtual reality, getting the whole team on the same page was a challenge. There was a lot of imagine this and visualize that. It was really, really painful. Now, fast forward a couple of months, I'm in New York having lunch with my classmates and our co-founders. And of course, we were talking about virtual reality. And what we realized was that each of us, despite our different backgrounds, were having the exact same issues when creating content for VR. And that's why we decided to build Mix. We figured that our challenges might be anecdotal, so we went out and spoke to over 100 people in the industry. This included VR journalists, VR filmmakers, advertising executives, artists, and a lot of other people. And one of the questions we asked them was, how do you storyboard for this new medium? They admitted that it was a challenge, but they came up with a lot of clever and interesting hacks. Some of them used traditional theater techniques, so they draw out their scene with a top-down blueprint of the scene to place their characters and models and move them around it, much like medieval war planning. Now, this technique worked to get a sense of what the scene might be, but visualizing it through the eyes of the actual viewer was actually a challenge. Some others just drew in VR. If you're making something for VR, just do it in VR. That was their motto. Now this works, this fixes the viewing technique, but at the same time, it involved a bunch of expensive equipment that wasn't otherwise required. Another technique, and this is my favorite, they draw their scenes out on a massive piece of paper, wrap it around their heads to get a sense of what their scene will be. You want to see what this looks like? We're going to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an actual practice that happens today. And as amusing as it is, it actually works to a certain degree. It's cheap, it didn't involve any hardware or software, and to a certain degree, the scene could be visualized. But it only went so far. Gauging movement between the scene was still a challenge. And what we realized was people were adapting and adopting techniques from traditional theater, film, and video games into VR, which is not necessarily working in a lot of scenarios. And what we realized that was people required a fast, simple, and shareable method for virtual reality content, and that's why we built Mix.
Meet Sam. She is a VR filmmaker. She has an idea for a VR experience and wants to share it with her producer for feedback. Sam has a script and a few characters in mind, and now she wants to storyboard it. Mix makes this process simple and quick. She creates a new project. She easily adds objects to this scene. She adds characters that she had hand-drawn on paper. She can also draw within the app itself. In addition, she can add objects from a pre-populated asset store. These objects can be 2D images or 3D objects. She can now manipulate these objects to design the scene as she needs. She can move them, animate them, scale them, and much more. She can also view a top-down view of the scene to get a general sense of where her characters and props will be. When she's ready for feedback, she shares the current version of her storyboard with her producer with just one click. Her producer opens the storyboard on his phone, reviews it in VR, and sends her his approval, all within the app. Sam's happy that her project can now continue. Mix, simple storyboarding for 360 filmmaking.
Our vision for Mix is to empower creators to easily storyboard for VR. So, how big of a problem are we dealing with? Right now, the typical phases when producing VR are pre-production, production, and post-production. If the pre-production phase is not done right, the cost will increase significantly in the latter phases. For example, one of the big costs is stitching. If you place a character along the stitch line, this needs to be fixed in post-production, and it's going to be very expensive. So to get from something like this to this, it's going to cost you $10,000 per fixed minute. As we can all see, producing for VR is very expensive and time-consuming. Right now, costs can go up to hundreds of thousands depending on complexity. Mix will bring these costs down significantly. Let's talk about the market. The VR market is a fast-growing market. It is projected to grow from a revenue of $2.7 billion in 2016 to $17.8 billion by 2019. Last year, 92.5 million headsets were shipped, and out of those, 95% were Google Cardboard. Mix is taking this fact into account by offering our service through the browser. Right now, we are currently user testing our software at NYU. This storytelling in VR class is testing Mix for their projects, and based on their feedback, we keep developing our app. We are in touch with New York Film Academy. They showed interest in using Mix, and we're having meetings with them next week. We are in touch with ad agencies and production companies to make Mix part of their workflow. Right now, because Mix is a cloud-based service, we are offering on a subscription model based on the amount of users. The bigger the team, the more you pay. Our next steps are getting a beta development stage and also getting into a summer accelerator. Our team is Mitru, he is a creative technologist. This is Roy, he is a filmmaker. This is Joachim, he's a developer. I'm Undina, I'm an engineer. And we are Mix, and we would like to end by paraphrasing Professor Kemperlin. With regards to VR technology, right now is as great as ever has been and as bad as ever will be. The future is ours to improve upon, and improve we will. Thank you so much.